right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Adobe Live. This is back from NAB Live. My name is Michael Lewis, and we have a wonderful guest today, Eric Addison. We have a lot of good stuff to go over today, and as always, we're asking if you've joined us today to be active in our chat over on Behance. Jump over to Behance, log in, get into the chat, tell us where you're from, and throw us questions. We're here to educate and have fun. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go ahead and let Eric introduce himself. Last thing, I'm Michael Lewis. I'm your host for this morning, and I am on the Premiere Pro team. I've worked on the Premiere Pro team as a QE, and so I know it pretty well. But he does it every day as an editor, so he knows it really well. The rest of the day, we're going to have more sessions after this. We have our session until 11, and then we have Caitlin, who's going to be talking about After Effects at 11, so join in for that. And then at 1, we have Isaac Hulk and Dusty Gridley from, they have like a really cool Zookeeper, I think is the name of their company. Mm-hmm. They're really awesome, so come in and check that out. That's going to be about Character Animator. And at 3, we have Mark Edward Lewis, no relation, who will be talking about Audition, and with During Gleaves from the Audition team. And so definitely, if you're thinking about how to do audio and how to make your audio sweet, definitely jump in and join us for that. And yeah, I just want to say good morning to everybody. Also, like in the chat, let us know where you're from and say good morning. I see Hector. Hi, Hector. Mario. Hey, how's it going? Good morning. I know his Tron shirt is awesome. I saw that this morning too. I kind of want it.
So I was just gonna say, Nathan, I saw your comment. If you want the shirt, I believe it's sold by a company called Super 7. They make awesome T-shirts. They have a store in San Diego where I'm from, but I believe they have a website. Go to Super 7. I don't know, Google Super 7, and you can probably find it, and you can get one for yourself. Awesome. But yes, it is an awesome shirt.
So yeah, go ahead, Eric. That's a great segue. Introduce yourself.
All right, yeah, thank you, Michael. My name is Eric Addison. I live in San Diego, where I run a small production company, 100 ACRE FILMS. When I'm not doing that, I also run a San Diego Premiere Pro user group, where we meet once a month. At 100 ACRE FILMS, we do mostly corporate work. So we work with a lot of big companies, telling their stories. We do, internal videos, external videos, all kinds of stuff. We occasional commercial, when we're, and then also I'm starting to do short films, which I'm super excited to be getting back into. That's what we're going to actually talk about today.
Great, yeah.
The workflow I did on the last short film that I made using Premiere.
Awesome. Yeah, this is it's great to have people in who are professionals and that not only do like very professional, like yesterday was corporate videos, but also to explore, like, we all have to stay creative, and it's part of what helps us be professionals and get better at what we do as a profession. And so I love hearing about how professionals do their art and express their art. So I'm looking forward to today's session for sure. And also, quick hello. I see we have a lot of people globally again. Like yesterday, we had Brazil and a couple of places. Today we have Dublin, and LA. Awesome, that's where I'm from. And I thought I saw India. Yes, Hamid, hi from India. Awesome. So welcome everybody, and let's let Eric get started.
All right. So I guess the place to start would be to first give you a little bit of background on the film and why I decided to make it, and doing all the corporate stuff that I do. Kind of, why did you decide to make a short film and spend the money and the time? I went to film school, and I'm curious to know from the people in the chat window how many people went to film school or some sort of film education program, something like that. But I went to film school and I wanted to make movies. I didn't want to do corporate video. I mean, let's face it, corporate video is not the most always exciting thing, but it pays the bills. And after I graduated, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I actually met a guy at the Universal. I got invited to a party on the Universal lot.
Nice, yeah.
And we were in front of the clock tower, where the Back to the Future clock tower.
Yes.
And I was talking to this guy. He lived and worked up in LA in the industry, and he asked me, "Oh, you're just graduate film school. What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I have no idea. I don't really want to move to LA. I love San Diego, but I don't know." And he gave me advice. He said, "Look," he goes, if you move up here, you're probably gonna struggle. You know, most of your classmates are probably not gonna make it in the industry. A few of them probably will. It's a rough industry to get involved in. He goes, I'm not telling you not to do it. He goes, just be prepared for that. He goes, if I were you, he goes, I'd go back to San Diego. He goes, start your own production company, do corporate video, do commercials, shoot, edit, whatever you can do to stay working, to stay creative, improve your craft, you know, hone your skills. And he said, build up a company. And he goes, when that company gets to the point where it's self-sufficient, then go after your dream. Hollywood's not going anywhere. And he goes, then you can pursue that dream. He goes, if you make it, you're awesome. Good for you. He goes, if you don't, you have the production company to fall back on, and you can support a family, own a home, and have all that stuff. And, you know, when you're 20-something years old, you're like, all right, whatever, dude. You know? But I got to a point in my early 30s where that came back, and I'm like, you know what? I'm totally going to do that. And so started my production company, and then coming home from Sundance a couple years ago, I told my wife in the car drive home, I said, it's time. The business is good. I said, I want to start making short films.
That's awesome.
And my wife, who's awesome, literally said with like out of hesitation, okay, well, yeah, I got you. Let's do it. So this was the short film, the first one that I decided to make. It's a personal film. It's based on something that I did as a kid. My mom, when I was 11 years old, I wanted to go play video games one Saturday. And I asked my mom, hey, can you take me? And she said, no. She goes, I've got too much going on. I can't take you to the arcade. And I said, well, you know, please, I really want to go. And she said no. And then she said, why don't you just go ride your bike with your friends? So I'm like, okay. What? And in my head, I'm like, why don't I just go ride my bike to the arcade? The arcade was 3 miles away, which isn't really that far. But it was through the worst neighborhood ever. But I got on my bike, I rode. I remember I got there, played games, rode back, got home before sundown, which was like the rule. And I'll never forget, like, getting home, like in the bathroom, where there's a scene at the end of the film where the little kid's washing his hands. Like being in the bathroom, looking at myself in the mirror, I felt like a man. I was 11, but I had money, I had a bike, and I knew how to get places. So I didn't need parents anymore.
You're done.
I'm done.
Mom, I'm moving out.
But anyway, so the film was sort of based on that. So before, I can't really show the whole film, obviously for time, and we're also submitting to a bunch of festivals, and so we can't make it public. But I do have like a little promo that it was just nominated for a bunch of San Diego Film Awards.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And so they cut together a little promo to show at the award ceremony. So they were able to let me use that. So I'll show that right now, just so you can kind of get a little idea of what the film is.
I'm bored. Why don't you go outside with your friends? Can you take me to laser tag? One day you'll be older and you can go wherever you want.
So,
okay, that was beautiful. Like, just that little bit.
Thanks, man.
And it's funny because like you were talking about that, and I was like, okay, how many? I'm sure like this is I know some of the people on there, so some of you will know what it's like to ride to an arcade to be able to play video games and having to have a pocket full of quarters. And it really, you know, like it's funny because like as you were describing it, it's definitely a universal, I think, experience for a certain age group in certain types of like urban areas of a certain time period of like getting on your bike and you hang with your friends on your bike and you have to go outside and you have to go somewhere to do stuff, and you have the sundown rule of getting back home by sundown.
It was a bit reminiscent of my childhood. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't think kids do too much of that today. You know, ride their bikes. It seems like they don't ride their bikes. They're on their phones or they're doing something. So what I told my crew and my producer and my DP is, I said, look, this is my homage to Spielberg. I said, we're going to do it very sort of in that style, in the cinematography and the music. I said, we're just gonna, I love Spielberg. He's one of my heroes. So like, this is just my homage to him. So we're gonna do it in kind of his style. So that was sort of the way we went into it with that mindset. So what I'm going to talk about today is kind of how we did, what my workflow was in post using Premiere. And I'll kind of show you, how I set the project up. We'll edit a scene together. I'm going to show the color matching feature and how I kind of was able to get a look for the film using a still image from a Spielberg film.
Right.
And also talk about how you can move the project over into Audition now to do audio. I'm not going to show all the audio stuff because that's Mark's domain later today. He's the audio guy, but I'll show you how you can, move this over into Audition. So for those of you who are really good with audio, you can, open up this project and start editing and cleaning up your sound and doing all the sound design work. So, I'll start because I know someone's going to ask this on the chat. Everybody always does. What did you shoot with? If you were here yesterday, you heard me say I shoot with a Sony FS700. Originally, we were going to shoot with a Red for this project, and then a couple days before the project, before we were going to start shooting, we didn't get the Red camera. The person that was going to give it to us backed out.
Oh, no.
That was awesome. So the DP called me up and said, hey, we can use your 700, right? And I said, yeah, of course we can. So we shot it all with the 700. There was some B cam stuff and C cam stuff that was shot with the Canon C100.
Right.
And everything was shot in HD. We didn't shoot 4K for this, partly because the B cameras that we were going to be using, I knew were going to be Canon. They didn't, the C100s,
right.
They didn't shoot 4K, so I didn't want to have to worry about this mix and match thing. So everything was AVC HD, HD 8-bit, and I gotta say I was surprised on how well the codecs hung in there when we did color grading. So, but we'll get to that later on. So first thing I want to talk about is sort of the project organization. Again, I kind of talked about this yesterday, and I'm going to really kind of make sure to talk about it again today. You need to have, especially with a short film where you've got a lot of assets, you need to have an organizational system. You need to come up with a way to lay everything out in bins and find things really, really quickly. So I'm gonna just let you look at my bin here. Let's make these icons a little bit bigger. So you can see I've got a lot of different bins here. We did some drone shots. Those are all live in one folder. If we come down to scenes right here, if I click that open, you can see all of my scenes for the film are in this folder. So we have scene 3, we go all the way down to scene 27. So everything, and within those folders are all the clips and all the audio. So if I needed to find a scene real quick, I just had to find that bin and then open it up and boom, all the footage is right there. To take it one step further, what I did was I put every scene on its own sequence. So if I click, so let me come down here, I've already got some of these open here. So for instance, this is scene 11. And you can see everything is here, all the different takes, and everything is sunk up. So if you look down here on the timeline, this is the clip itself with the audio that was sent to the camera, and then this is all the separately recorded audio underneath. It's all sunk up. And so yeah, I like having this just because it gives me the ability to find those clips and scrub through and locate things really, really quickly. I don't need to try to, find that one particular shot. What shot was that? And then go to the bin and click through each and every shot just to see it. Everything is right here. And I usually lay them out from the first take, to the last take in the order that the scene happens.
Right.
And one thing I did want to talk about too was doing syncing audio. So for instance, let's see. For some reason I'm not hearing my audio through here, but I have a feeling that is because the preferences. Let me go to audio hardware. No, I should be hearing it. I don't know why I'm not hearing it. So that's interesting. That might make this a little bit difficult to sync.
And, it's not a live demo if there isn't a problem.
We had this yesterday. Yeah, that's really bizarre.
Yeah, you're not actually even seeing
I'm not even seeing anything on the BU meters.
Yeah.
But I know my audio works. Okay, well, let's restart. And let's so I can kill time while
All
we're
right.
restarting.
Well, while we're restarting, let's remind you that there is a challenge today, and in that there's both a challenge today. So go over to the which site is it? Sorry, the Behance site, and you'll see the folder, link to the folder for the After Effects assets that you can pull down. You'll see the instructions for what to do. So grab that, do the challenge. It should be cool, and it's a great prize. And then we're also going to have a competition in the chat. So at a certain point, I'll let you know to be really active in the chat. And you're going to want to jump, if you're watching on YouTube, jump over to Behance so you can participate. And you're going to get to win these, which you probably can't see. I'll hold them up. Lapel pins, because we're very highbrow here at Adobe, for Audition and After Effects. So definitely, when I let you know, get active in the chat. You can win these lapel pins. And, the next black and white, what do you call those? Like where you got to show up in the tie and the top hat.
Oh, yeah.
You'll have something to hold your lapel from Adobe.
Okay, so for whatever reason, audio is working everywhere, but on that particular sequence. So I'm not sure if I have something turned off or what, but we're going to go anyway. So I was going to show real quick on how to sync footage. Let me find another clip here. Actually, let me find a different scene. So there are a lot of different ways you can sync footage. If you record separate sound, there are third-party options that you can use for sure, but Premiere has sync built into it, so why not use that? So let me find a simple scene here. Let me find, let's see. This should probably do the trick right here. So, yeah, we'll use this take. So I'm gonna pull these out so we can see the slate. So one way to do it, so if you have your audio here, well, let's see, this is actually, let me find one where we still have the camera audio attached. This will probably be a good one to use. Okay, so this one has the camera audio and this separately recorded sound. So what you can do, if you highlight both of these and you right click, you can see you have synchronize. And synchronize will sync up, and if you click it, it gives you a couple different options. You can do start clip, let me zoom in on that. Zoom in. So you can use, for your sync point, you can use your clip start, you can use your clip end, you can use audio, or you can use clip marker, which is grayed out, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. If you choose audio, you can see it'll give you track channel, and you can choose either track 1, track 2, or mix down. So, I usually use the mix down. That sort of compares everything, and that usually does the trick. If you've got clean audio on, in this case, I've got audio. Let's zoom back out here. Yeah, I gotcha. I've got audio on both the recorded from the camera and then the separate recorded sound. So that should just sync them up automatically. But if you wanted to add markers, you could do that as well. Right. And so just to add the markers, let's find where the slate happens. Let's pull this, let's make this a little unsynced here. So right here, you can find where the slate claps. Right there. So you want to make sure that you use a clip marker, not a timeline marker. That's vital. If you do timeline markers, it won't work, and you'll just be super frustrated. So you highlight the clip. I'm going to hit the M key, and that adds a clip marker. You can see
M for marker. Yeah.
M for marker right there. I've got my clip marker. Okay, I'm going to do the same on my audio clip. So I'm going to come down here. Let's make these a little bit bigger as well. So you can see right there, that's where my slate hits. If I can resize this window here. Right there. So I'm going to put an M with that clip highlighted. I'll hit M. It adds a clip marker. Now, if I come back, let's select everything, synchronize, use clip marker.
Is now available. Yeah, that's awesome.
And boom, we're in sync.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's, got a couple ways to sync your footage, but I usually use the synchronize feature and just use the audio. If I have recorded, camera recorded audio like I do right here, it usually goes really quick. Premiere's great about that.
And
so,
just to throw it,
yep.
what's happening there is if you're using the audio, we're actually analyzing the audio of all the clips and aligning based on that analyzation. So Just to
tech guy here.
just to slightly clarify what choosing audio will do for you.
Yeah.
And if it's noisy, like as Eric said, if it's noisy, then the analysis isn't necessarily going to be able to be accurate if one clip is super noisy and one is clean, or both are noisy. But if you have clean audio, it's a great way to synchronize audio.
And that's a really good point. If you're doing a project, if you're the editor on a project, sit down with your DP on the project and tell them that they have to use a slate.
Yeah.
I mean, we think that that's sort of a given.
Right.
But you would be amazed at how many people don't use slates. And it's not, I'm not saying it's just for sound syncing. I'm saying to know what scene it is, to know what take it is.
Right.
You would be amazed at how many projects I've seen where they used a slate and didn't write anything on it.
Right.
Or they just held it up in front, which is fine if you're doing MOS with nothing, without sound. But, if you're, as the editor, you need to have that information. And so
It makes your life so much easier.
Yeah. You've got to demand that as an editor. So, and again, like you were saying, for instance, that's a good point about the audio, the camera audio. So some of the camera audio that we were given, so my sound guy fed the camera just sort of audio just for reference. It wasn't meant to be used in the final film. But it wasn't always clean.
Right.
It was a wireless. Sometimes the camera was out of range, and it would intermittently pick up stuff. And so, we can't rely on that. And that's where having the slate clap really comes in. You need that reference point. So, all right. So once you've got everything sunk up here, you can see you've got your timeline with all your clips. You can start editing.
Actually, I'm gonna let me jump in really quick. So Siobhan Frazier is asking what the slate is for. I think we've kind of described it, but I guess we could be a little more explicit.
Yeah, so let me go back and let's show you the slate here. So let's pull an image up here, and so you can actually see what the slate looks like. So let's see if I can zoom in on that image. Oh, actually, what am I talking about? I can just tilde key. So this is the slate, and you can see now this is a fancier slate. It's got the time code and everything on there. You don't need a slate that has all the fancy time code. You can have a slate that just has, the roll, the scene. You don't need the digital numbers on there. But what the slate does is the 3A is telling me the scene. So it's scene 3. A is the letting me know that we've divided scene 3 up into different parts because it's kind of a large scene. So this is the A part of the scene. The B part will take place in a different part of the room, but it's all part of one scene. So, this is 3A. The 4 right here, just take 4. And then you've got all the information. So this is the name of the film. That's me, the director, DP. The 2398 right here is letting me know the frame rate that we're shooting at. They wrote we're shooting with an FS7. We were actually shooting with an FS700, so I don't know who wrote that, but they're fired. And then the date here is just let you know the date that we did the shoot. So we shot this 11/21/16. So it's just to have all that information. Now, the important thing though is that if we go forward a little bit, that clap. You want to, that point where it actually connects is where you want to look for and what you need to be able to see, because that's where you're going to sync your sound to. And you'll see up on the slate how the arrows are kind of at an angle like that. They're designed that way so that when they fully connect, because that's your point. You don't want to see how it's a little blurry before that. That's no good. You need to be able to see that as cleanly as possible to get that sync point. So anyway, so that's kind of the high-level view of a slate, why it's important, and why, as an editor, you should demand that your crew use it. Now, listen, some takes are just going to be quick. They're just going to run and gun and grab something, and that'll be okay if you don't necessarily have a slate for that. But if there's dialogue, if it's a scene in the film and there's things happening, tell your crew, tell your director, hey, I need slates so that I can edit effectively and find clips and get things sunk up. It just will save you a lot of heartache later on. So, are there any more questions or?
I think I think the question about the animation, the challenge animation, is being answered. I think we're good. I think you can keep going, and then we'll.
Oh yeah,
I'll keep an eye on there.
I noticed they're talking about the tilde key going full
Oh, yeah.
screen. That is a huge thing. So yeah, you can, if you just hit the tilde key, it will just make that window fully large. If you hit the control or command key, it will go full screen. So there we go. Go back. Okay, so we've got our scene, or all of our stuff sunk up. So let's cut a little scene together. Let's do, so what I do to cut, when I start cutting the scenes together is, we talked about this yesterday, is the pancake timeline. So what I'll do is I'm gonna take, I've got this empty scene 17 timeline here. So I'm gonna drag that down. All right, so now I've got, and here's scene 17. This is the one, for whatever reason, the audio is not working, which is weird. So let's close this and try to reopen it.
Right. So just while Eric's looking for the another sequence, yeah. What he just did with the pancake timeline, he's actually rather than having his sequences open in tabs that he's clicking between tabs to see each sequence, he's actually changed the UI so that one sequence is sitting, and I'm looking at the wrong thing. One sequence is sitting below the other sequence. One's going to be his empty sequence. The other one's going to be where he's pulling selects from, which he'll show in just a moment.
Yep. Yeah, that's really weird. I don't know why this scene doesn't want to seem to work, but let's just cut another scene together. How about that? So let's pull. Let's see. Let's try this scene. Actually, you know what? Yeah, this scene could work. So, all right. So this is the scene at the beginning of the film where the main character, whose name is Ezra, is going. He's kind of bored, and he goes and asks his mom if he can go to laser tag, which is what he wants to go play. So we start with him at the window. But we'll pick it up from him coming over to talk to her. So let's kind of go through the takes here real quick. So this is take one, and we shot this with a Steadicam. So let's start right here. This is our first take. So let's kind of quickly go through these takes. Oh, this is actually take two.
Speed. Take two.
We know when you're set.
Hey, look, it's done.
Ready, Austin?
Yeah. And yeah.
Let me know when you're ready, Mike.
Last shot prior to this is him looking at.
All right, let's get to where the scene actually happens here.
That's actually, I don't know, I like seeing the behind the scenes.
behind the
It's kind of
scenes
fun.
I'm bored.
Why don't you go outside with your friends?
Can you take me to laser tag? I have enough money for my allowance.
Not today, honey. I have too many things going on this afternoon.
I know the way. Can you just drop me off?
Ezra, you're not old enough to go by yourself.
You always say that.
One day you'll be older, and you can go wherever you want.
I hate being 12.
Okay, so that take was good. I like that take, but I didn't like his reaction. I didn't think he he was upset enough at his mom, and I wanted him to show more kind of anger, like, look, being real upset that he's only 12 and his mom won't sort of respect the fact that he's 12 and he thinks he's older and he should be able to go do this.
Right.
So we did a couple more takes, and this take is the one that I think we're going to use. So I won't make us sit through all the other takes we didn't choose, but let's start right here and let's watch this take.
Let's try one.
Okay, here we go. And action.
I'm bored.
Why don't you go outside with your friends?
Can you take me to laser tag? I have enough money for my allowance.
Not today, honey. I have too many things going on this afternoon.
It's not that far away. I know the way. Can't you just drop me off?
Ezra, you're not old enough to be by yourself.
You always say that.
One day you'll be older, and you can go wherever you want.
I hate being 12.
Okay, so that take I like better.
Let me jump in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we doing the giveaway right now? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So once again, the cool pins are the giveaway for getting crazy in the chat. So again, if you're on YouTube, jump over to Behance, log in, start chatting away. That's how you get entered. And then there will be a random drawing, and we'll be giving away these cool lapel pins for your next fancy party. All right.
I'd wear those pins.
I'm ready to do it now.
All right, so while I like that take, and that take works really well, there's still, we got some other cutaways that I might want to cut into, but I want to use the bulk of it. So we're going to start the scene. I don't know that I necessarily need to see him walk all the way over from the window. Again, editing is, making things, cutting in as late as possible, getting rid of anything that we don't need. So, as a director, I love the fact that he walked over, we saw how bored he was, whatever. As the editor, I'm thinking, I don't know why I shot that, it's boring, so we're gonna cut that. And that's something that if you decide to edit your own film that you direct, I would encourage you to sort of always be aware that you need to wear two hats.
Right.
You always need to have that director hat on to make the decision and tell the story, but as an editor, you need to trim the fat. And you'll make decisions on set about things that look wonderful and isn't it great?
Right.
But you need to be willing to essentially, what's the old saying, kill your babies.
Yeah.
There may be shots that you spent hours to set up that look wonderful. We have this great Steadicam shot, whatever. It looks beautiful. At the end of the day, it's not moving the story along. And there's a quicker way to get to that point. And so you have to be willing to do that.
Was that a hard process for you, like the switching hats?
Yes, it always is. But the thing that I did was we shot, as you saw the date, we shot in November and early December of 2016. I didn't start editing until January or February. I put together like a kind of a real basic rough cut, but then I just let it sit. Part of it was because my wife was pregnant. It was the holidays. We had a lot going on.
Right. It was a natural break.
It was a natural break. But the other part of it too is I wanted that distance.
Right.
I wanted it, when I came back to the film, I wanted to be able to look at it with completely fresh eyes, forgetting that we spent hours to get that shot. Forgetting, that we had 2 takes at this wonderful, all that kind of stuff. You forget all that and you look at the film for what it is now. And what you have and what you can make it. And so that would be my big encouragement is if you're directing your own short and you're going to edit it, or a feature for that matter too, give yourself a break. Walk away from that film for a little bit just so you can come back to it with fresh eyes. Otherwise, it's going to be, and I still showed it to editor buddies of mine who I really trusted, and they would tell me, oh, cut that. I'd be like, I don't want to cut that.
I like that shot, yeah.
I like that shot. We need that shot, and they would be, no, you don't.
Right.
So anyway.
All right, let me jump in again.
Go ahead.
We have a winner, and we have a couple of questions. So let me do the winner first. The winner of the lovely After Effects and Audition lapel pins is Nathan Elikonich. Hopefully I said your name right. Congratulations, Nathan. And the Adobe Live folks will be letting you know how to collect on your new fancy pins.
They get both pins?
Both pins, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, you
Nice.
know, I mean, because this is the lapel, right? Am I saying the right thing?
Yeah.
So you have 2, right? So
yeah.
you can double pin it.
Nice.
Yes, you, Nathan, you. You, Nathan, you. Okay, and then we had a couple of questions from John Zorns up there that's about to go away.
Can you tell me how to copy or cut audio segment and paste it into another layer? Yeah. All you need to do is, I'm assuming this is what you're talking. You just, you can right click on it and choose copy, or just select it. Let's just select the audio. You can Control or Command C, and then just I could bring it down to this other timeline, Control or Command V, and that'll paste it. Or you could right-click and choose Paste as well, and that will do it as well. So there's a couple different ways to go. So does that answer your question? Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
If not, let me know. I saw Megan actually had a question too about being a keyboard-driven editor or mouse-driven editor.
Right.
So that's actually a really good question. So I started out as a much more mouse-driven, and I worked with a producer who told me that I was really wasting time not learning the keyboard shortcuts. So I started to learn them, and for a while there, I was much more heavily keyboard-driven. But now I kind of go 50-50. I like using the mouse. I use the mouse probably more than I should. There's a lot of keyboard shortcuts that I probably should be using, but I kind of go back and forth. So I'm 50-50 on using keyboard shortcuts versus just using the mouse. I like a good balance of both. So, but I encourage everybody, you need to find what works for you. Don't let some producer like the one that tried to bully me into just going keyboard shortcuts. Right. Find what works, and you may be more comfortable just being completely mouse driven. I know guys that don't use the mouse; they use the Wacom tablet.
Yeah, no, I've actually seen that too. I've never
done that.
I've never done that either.
I don't know that I could.
But the people that do it say that they would never.
They swear by it.
Yeah,
they swear by it. Like
the only way they can edit. Yeah. So
at some point I should probably try that just so I can say, well, yes, I've done it, and this is why I either like it or don't like it. But yeah, so I'm 50-50. So all right, so let's get back to our scene. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this together.
I'm bored.
Okay, so we're gonna start right when he walks up, right here. So I've got my tracks all selected. Again, we talked about this yesterday, but if you weren't here, a quick shortcut to cut through all of your layers is the Control or Command K, and you'll watch right here. So this is where I want to cut in, and you can see I just hit Control K, and it makes a cut through everything. So I'm gonna take this up until...
Can't you just drop me off?
Ezra, you're not old enough to be by yourself.
I'm gonna cut right there because I know I've got a close-up shot of him, a reverse angle on him, where he's got a lot of emotion, and I'm gonna wanna use that. So let's hit Control K, and I'm just gonna drag that down to my scene, to my other timeline. So I've got that down there. So let's go find that other shot. Let's see, so that's just another take. Let's see. Here it is. So we've got a couple takes of this. Let's look at this take real quick.
Let's go again. Okay, keep it.
Let's find where we actually get going here. He comes in right here. So let's look at this.
Oh, wait. Can't you just drop me off?
Ezra, you're not old enough to go by yourself.
You always say that.
One day you'll be older, and you can go wherever you want. Okay?
I hate being 12.
Oh, I feel your pain, buddy. All right, so that was actually a pretty good take. I like that one. I have one more. Let's look at this one and see how this one looks.
Drop me off.
Ezra, you're not old enough to be by yourself.
You always say that.
One day you'll be older, and you can go wherever you want. Okay?
I hate being 12.
Okay, I like that take. That was me essentially at 12. So I'm gonna take just that line for right now, and let's drag this down.
So Megan, being a filmmaker herself, is obviously asking lighting questions.
Okay, so did we gel the windows? How did you balance interior and exterior light? We did not gel the windows. We pumped in, as I recall, we used a couple of 2K exterior lights to pump light in. The house was sort of bright enough, and so we just bounced I think we put the 2K in through the windows, and then they set some sort of bounce up or something like that to sort of bounce it up to give a lot of the room
fill a little bit more.
Yeah, and then we used hazer to. Sorry, I should be talking to the camera. I'm looking at the thing like I'm talking to Megan.
We
right
tend
there.
to talk to like the chat because it feels like that's where we're interacting.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to.
But no, so we used a hazer to get that sort of haze look. And again, we shot log. That's why everything looks flat. So yeah, but that was it. So we just used a lot of 2Ks, I think, to bounce in or to come in, and then we bounced some lights inside to give some room fill. So. Okay, I think that was the only other question.
Yeah, I think
had.
there's a Tron debate going on. I'll let that run its course.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
What's the? I'm just curious because I'm a big Tron fan. What's
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what's the debate about?
I don't know that I've caught it all. It's something about Legacy. Is there a
Tron Legacy is the sequel. Okay, so not that anybody
got an
asked my
opinion.
opinion about this. Okay, so I love the first one. Obviously, it's a classic. I mean, groundbreaking. I do like the second one. I think it's a great film. I was a little disappointed when I first saw it. I thought that one of the plot elements near the end of the film, I thought wasn't so great. But my wife, funny enough, who is again super awesome, loves the second one.
Oh, really?
I'll come home sometimes and she's watching it. You know? And
Wow, you really like this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've watched it now, I don't know how many times. And I will say, it has grown on me. I do love the second one. I'm not going to say I love it more than the first. I'm not going to say that. But I am going to say, it looks amazing. The soundtrack, the Daft Punk soundtrack, is the best soundtrack, one of the best soundtracks of the last 10 years, without question. I edit to it all the time. And yeah, and I've grown to really love the second one. So that's my opinion. You guys take your debate and keep going. So let's get back to this film. So we've got our scene here. So let's look at this real quick, see how we're doing.
To be by yourself.
You always say that.
Wow, I pretty much nailed that. Okay, so now we need to cut back to the mom. So let's go back up to this other take that I use, because I forgot I was going to need that last bit. I think it was this one, and I like...
You always say that.
Okay, that wasn't the take that I used. I think it was this one. Was it? Let's see, I'm trying to find the one take that I like. No, it wasn't that one. I think it was this one. So let's watch this.
I hate being 12.
Okay, that. I love that look that the mom has right here. So dramatic. Yeah, that look is what I'm looking for. So, but we need that line where she says, when you'll be older.
Being 12.
So let's cut right here. Again, I'm gonna use Control K.
One day you'll be older and you can go wherever you want.
Okay, so we're gonna cut right there. So Control K, let's drag that down. Oop, I think I have a little too much of the clip. Oop, so let's do, from right here, let's, again, Control K. I guess I need to make cuts on both sides. That helps, there we go. All right, and then let's drag this down. All right, so let's see how this cuts together so far here.
You always say that.
One day you'll be older and you can go wherever you want.
Okay, not doing too bad here. Let's go back. We need his reaction. And so let's go to this take again. I think it was this take that I used.
One day you'll be older and you can go wherever.
See, but I want to cut back to him a little bit early because I don't want to stay on the mom the whole time.
One day you'll be older and you can.
But we'll fix that in a little bit. So let's get his reaction right now,
One
though.
day you'll be older and you can go wherever you want.
Like, I like that reaction. So I'm going to go Control K. Let's drag all this down. Oops. Oops, I got to have all this selected. That's what's going on. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, actually, because Megan brought up also, well, Control K is an add edit, and it's going to add an edit to all of your selected tracks.
Yes.
Video and audio.
Yes.
So you want to use that as Eric is if you want to grab everything that's basically in your timeline at that point. If you want to edit it across everything that you have selected in the UI, in the track headers, where you can see, can you?
Yeah. Let me make this. So, yeah, so if you have all of your tracks selected, so I've got a bunch of extra audio tracks here that from the audio mix that we didn't end up using. I should probably get rid of all these. But yeah, if you have Control K, so let me kind of show you. So we'll go right here. I've got everything selected. If I get Control or Command, if you're on a Mac, K, you'll see it makes an edit point through all of that. So you can see all those tracks are now cut through. So that's a really quick and easy way to make an edit through all of those, if you have a bunch of different tracks. I use that all the time. It's super quick. I mean, you can click over the razor blade tool, hold the shift key down. That's the alternative way to do it. So if I go to the razor blade tool, there we go. If I have the razor blade tool and I hold down the shift key, you'll see that it changes to like two 2 little razor blades there, and if I make that cut, it'll cut through everything. But that's a little bit more work, I think. But hey, some people like that, so
Keyboard shortcuts.
keyboard shortcuts. Yep, exactly.
And Kathy, I'm going to start saying people's first names so I don't mess up last names. Kathy, thanks for your question. Why do you keep all the audio tracks?
So, okay, good question. So normally I should have gone through, and I was just being probably lazy that day. Oops, let's make this full screen again. So I should have gone through and gotten rid of the unused tracks. So when I get the audio from the sound mixer, he's recording a multi-track. But within these tracks, I've got, so for instance, this first track is probably a lav on Ezra, the main, or Austin, who's playing Ezra. That's his lav mic. This one could be the lav mic that's on the actress playing the mom. This one could be a boom, or boom overhead.
Right.
And then the fourth one is probably maybe like a mix of everything. So he's giving me, the sound guy is giving me a lot of options to choose from. And I keep them all because I don't know which one I'm going to need or want once I start editing and once I start building my sound mix. You want to be able to give your sound design person the best audio that you can. And so having everything there is going to allow you to do that. So it's easy to sort of ping pong back and forth. And, if you need to start making, complicated cuts, you've got the audio separated out. So that's why you want to keep it there. Again, I have all these unused tracks here that I should have cleaned up and probably gotten rid of, and was probably lazy that day and didn't. Hey, when you're trying to sync stuff up and you're doing all this stuff, a lot of times you're just like, just get it sunk. I'll clean it up later. So anyway, so that's why all these extra ones are there. But in reality, what I should have done is highlight them all, choose unlink. So now they're all unlinked, and just gone through and deleted all the empty ones. That would be a lot cleaner and a lot easier to do. So you should do that. So,
then while we're at a break, Megan was asking, are you, type in there if I'm messing this up, Megan, are you used to logging? Are you used to editing in log? Need more coffee? Are you? So I think earlier you were talking about how you shot everything in log,
right?
Color space, and she was asking, are you used to editing in log at this point? And then when do you start adding LUTs and grading?
So yes, I'm used to editing in log as I shoot pretty much everything in log. So yeah, I'm used to looking at that. When to add the LUT is sort of, it depends on a couple factors. When I'm editing the film like I am right now, I usually just work with it in log mode. If I'm editing a project for a client, then I'll usually drop on a LUT. And I'll drop that on usually before I send it out to them for a review. I have a few clients who are very savvy and realize what's going on. And so, if you send a client a ungraded log clip, 9 times out of 10, they're going to send it back to you like, what is wrong with the footage?
Right.
What happened?
Right.
There's no color in this. It's all flat and icky.
Right.
And so, yeah, so that's what we dropped the LUT on. Like I said, I do have a couple that are very video savvy, and I can send them just the ungraded. They know what's going on, and they're looking at it just for content. They're not looking at it and I explain to them what we color grade later. But yeah, so the LUT for some clients comes on pretty early.
Right.
So, and it's a real basic LUT. Like, for whatever reason, I found Premiere comes preloaded with a couple LUTs if you go to the Lumetri tool. So like we go to, let me find Lumetri. I'll show this because it helps me out here. Did I spell Lumetri wrong? Lumetri. At some point I'll learn how to type. So Lumetri color, let's select this. I'm going to double click to add it. There's a few, if you go to basic correction, input LUT, there's some that come with Premiere built in. For whatever reason, Sony S-Log 2, if you use the Alexa presets, the Alexa LUTs, they sometimes do a fairly good job. So like if I drop this one on, you can see right there, that doesn't look too bad.
That actually looks very cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a LUT built for an Alexa. So, sweet.
Right.
But yeah, it's, not all of them are going to work that well. You kind of cycle through them and you can see, but actually they all are looking pretty good. So, but yeah, I found that those work pretty well. So yeah, but that's with the S-Log footage. With my Canon C-Log footage, no dice. For whatever reason, it doesn't work as well. Completely different color space, or whatever, and so it doesn't work. But with the S-Log, that usually gets me a clean enough look to where clients will be like, oh yeah, that looks pretty good.
Right.
So anyway, so I hope that answers the question. So is there another one on there?
I think she's. I think Megan is. Do you mind jumping over to the color space really quickly?
Oh yeah.
Hopefully this isn't off.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So you can also access those in the basic and the Lumetri color panel.
Right. Yes, they're
Yeah,
all here.
so
if you go to the color panel,
As
everything's
with
right
many
here.
things in Premiere, there's multiple ways to get at it, and it's
Yes.
about like what is the most comfortable for you. It's interesting because I can tell that you're a very old school Premiere user because you go to like all the old school places that you would go to access those things. And with the new features we've put in, we've really tried to like bubble a lot of things up to make it easier for users to get at that. So it's about what works for you. You're showing your age in Premiere.
I've been using it since 1998 or something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I kind of am old school. But that being said, I do use. I guess it's one of those things where, if you ask me, I just automatically think, okay, well, I'll just add the Lumetri effects and then go do it. When I do my color work now, I go to the color panel.
Right.
I do go to that, having those presets, used for the audio and for the graphics, I do click over to there now. But yeah, it's like I go to that, I guess my brain just instinctively goes
Muscle
to
memory,
Muscle
yeah.
memory,
Yeah.
it just goes back to it. So, all right, any other questions? Or are we good on questions? I
think we're good for the moment. Why don't we?
Okay, we'll keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep going. So let's see where we're at with our scene here. Let's kind of get this thing cut. And so we've got.
Ezra, you're not old enough to be by yourself.
You always say that.
One day you'll be older, and you can go wherever you want. And you can go wherever you want.
Okay, so we need the shot of him walking away. So I think that's right here.
Okay?
Let's just drag this out a little bit.
Hate being 12.
This is giving me serious. My son is 13, going on 14. And
Oh, yeah.
I've when you picked that shot, I was like, "Yep, that's the one," because I know that look.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So all right. So we need the reverse of the mom. So let's find that. There's a good take of her. Let's see. I don't know if this was it. Let's see. No, that wasn't it. Let's come back here.
Okay?
That's on him. So I believe it was this take that I liked.
Hate being 12.
That's the one I want. So let's select that. I'm going to drag that down here. We'll put that there. So let me get my right timeline selected here. So let's kind of look at this, and then we're going to clean this up. I think this is...
You always say that.
One day you'll be older, and you can go wherever you want. And you can go wherever you want. Okay?
Hate being 12.
Okay, so we
Nice.
need to do a little bit of work on that. I remember one of the things that I wanted to do was, and at this point I think I have all the elements that I need. So I'm going to move this up to here. So now I'm going to get rid of my pancake timeline and just work on the timeline like this. So let's kind of watch this again. So
You're not old enough to be by yourself.
You always say that.
okay.
One day you'll be older, and you can go wherever you want. And you can go...
Okay, so I want to see her start on,
One day you'll be older, and you can go...
but I want to see him for that line. I want to see him look upset.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll back this clip. I'm going to take the audio. I'm going to unlink this from the audio that was recorded to the camera. I'm just going to roll this over here.
older, and you can go wherever you want. And you can go wherever you want. Okay?
Hate being
Okay, so I did lose sync. So let's do this.
You can go wherever you want. Okay?
hate being 12.
So I'm going to lose that line. even though I kind of like that line, I feel like it's a little, we know he hates being 12. We can see it in his face. So let's get rid of that. Again, part of the job of editing is trimming the fat. You know, film is a visual medium. So if you can cut a line because he's showing something as opposed to saying it, go with that. So let's cut there. Get all my tracks selected here. I think I've got, so I can set it for my Command K.
Are these are your actors professional actors? We have a question from Kathy on that.
Yes, they are. Austin, who you see on screen right now, actually has done a lot of work. He actually won an award for this film, for his acting in this film.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's done a lot of work. The mom has done a lot of work. I think she was just recently on like CSI or something like that, or one of their shows. I could be wrong about that, but I thought she did something broadcast. And then the other cast members, with the exception of one, have all done acting before.
Right.
So, okay, so let's.
I hate being 12.
So I'm gonna lose that, but I want to see him kind of walk away. So let's Command K again. Let's lose that bit. Delete. Okay, but I do want to still see his reaction. So let's.
And you can go wherever you want.
So let's just trim back all this audio. Let's slide this over. And let's see, maybe we can pull this up. So let's see how that looks.
Older, and you can go wherever you want. Okay?
Good, so we got his sigh in there. And then, but we can't have, let's get rid of that last little bit there. So now you can see one problem that we have here is, it's kind of a jump cut. So we need to go back to the mom for a second. And we've got her right here. So let's get rid of that audio. So let's see if we can pull this up. I'm just gonna pull a little bit of him looking dejected. Again, Control K. Oops, I gotta move my timeline there before he walks away. Sometimes watching editors work is like watching paint dry. It's just like, okay.
I don't know. I'm finding it pretty fascinating. So hopefully you all are too. Keep asking us questions because we're happy to answer them.
And let's see. So then this is this shot here, and then we'll cut back here. So let's see how this looks. Here we go. Let's actually go back a little bit further. Oops.
And you can go wherever you want. Okay?
12.
Oop. So we got a problem there, so let's fix that. Let's see here.
12.
So that's the end of him saying, I hate being 12. So maybe what we can do is we'll just get rid of the audio there. And let's see if there's audio here we can use that's blank. It looks like it. Oh, it's him starting to talk. So what I like to do in this situation is say, well, you know what? I'm gonna let my audio designer take care of that little gap. So no, I would try to go in and fix that and cover it with some room tone or something else. But let's see, it's still a pretty quick cut. And it looks like he's starting to say that there, so we might need to cut out a little bit sooner.
Okay?
So right there on the side,
yeah.
That's where we'll cut. And so let's trim this up. Use my ripple tool here. Let's close that up.
Okay?
It's still a little too quick for me. So maybe we'll try just trimming this out. Actually, you know what we'll do here? I'm going to show a feature that I like to use when you have to cut on action. Let's see. So if I double click this and oops. So let's see if the dynamic trimming here will work. Oops, I gotta double click it. There we go.
Okay?
So I'm gonna come, okay, so let's see. Oops, let's play it again.
Okay?
Let's pull.
Okay? Okay?
Oops, I forgot. I gotta put it in ripple mode. Ha. So hold down the control key. So what I'm gonna do, for those of you who don't know what dynamic trimming is, why isn't this working? Come on.
Just because they're not linked, or
There we go.
All right.
So now I have to double click it. So dynamic trimming allows you to play around an edit point, and you can adjust it as you're playing it. And when you're cutting on action, it really comes in handy. So I'm going to play this clip.
Okay.
So that's a pretty good edit now, but I want to move it.
Okay.
That's better.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so basically what I'm doing is if you look up here in this dynamic trimmer, let's go full screen on that. So you've got +5, you got +1, -1, -5, and what that does is as I'm playing the clip, I can be pushing, I'm using the mouse in this instance, but you can use the keyboard shortcuts if you wanted to. And I'm just removing 5 frames as it's playing, and it's pulling, you can see if we go back, because I'm in the ripple edit mode, it's gonna pull that up. And so as you're cutting on action, you can really sort of find that spot that is the perfect cut as it's playing and watching it, instead of trimming it, pulling it to back, playing it, okay, that doesn't work, and going back. So I love to use dynamic trimming when I'm cutting at scenes where I wanna match that action.
And we have an interesting question about that as well. I think Anthony asked if, Anthony, couldn't you set up a multicam sequence to make this easier, or is it not properly synced?
So first, so the multicam thing, this is actually shot with just a single camera. So I'm actually taking the bits from 2 cameras or from a single camera and then cutting it together. So if I had 2 cameras on it, then yes, I could have used the multicam to sort of cut back and forth on that. But this is just a single camera, and I'm trying to cut together that footage. So, and for whatever reason, I know guys, we talked about this yesterday too. I know guys who love multicam and use that all the time. I just never kind of got into that style of editing. I do use it when I have more than 2 cameras. I'll definitely use multicam in that situation. But if it's just 1 or 2 cameras, or if it's just 2 cameras, I don't tend to use multicam. That may not be the workflow that you like. That is an option, and again, I know guys who do cut that way. So it's sort of a preference thing, in some styles. So, okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so I still think we're a little too long on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this over here. I'm going to drag this shot out a bit. Drag this audio too, and let's see how that looks. That's better. Let's watch it again. Take it from here.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that better. Except that point. So we need to trim this up. So let's see, he walks off there. So right there is where we want to cut. So I'm just going to use my ripple edit tool again. Drag that up. And now I think we're good. Yep. So let's watch the whole scene. I think we're good.
I'm bored.
Why don't you go outside with your friends?
Can you take me to laser tag? I have enough money for my allowance.
Not today, honey. I have too many things going on this afternoon.
It's not that far away. I know the way. Can't you just drop me off?
Ezra, you're not old enough to be by yourself.
You always say that.
One day you'll be older, and you can go wherever you want. Okay?
It's interesting. You got rid of that. It came back.
Did I? Yeah. What happened there? Let's see.
Older, and you can go wherever you want. Okay?
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it
no.
works.
My bad. My bad.
Wait, what?
Why am I
happened?
second? I don't know why I'm second guessing the editor. I had a moment. But I was gonna say, like, it's really, the reason I don't think this is like watching paint drying is because I think it's really interesting to see your choices about timing, how you move between, how you cut between the scenes, what you're looking for.
Right.
It was really interesting hearing you talk about like choices in the editing process.
Yeah.
Through that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what editing is. I mean, just as acting is making choices when you're on set, editing is making choices as well. It's figuring out. I mean, I've obviously sort of prepped for this, and I've cut the film, so I sort of knew the choices that I wanted to make. But when you're sitting down to start this, it's a process. I mean, normally scenes don't cut together this quickly.
Right.
You know, what I always do is I sit down and watch. I'll go to one of these different timelines with like, okay, this is scene 13. This is a much more complex scene. It's where he meets a homeless guy, and you can see there's a lot of takes that we did here. And so I'll go through and watch all of these takes. I'll go through and watch all of these takes, and make notes in the script and say, okay, this take was good. I mean, I kind of remember, and we were a small crew, so we didn't have a script supervisor to mark the good takes and do all that do that stuff. So it was mostly me marking on my script when we were shooting. But I do tend to fall back on that, but I tend to sort of try to ignore it as well, because a lot of times if you just say, well, I know take 2 and take 5 were the good ones, you might just say, well, I'm just going to go look at those takes.
Right.
But you really should watch everything again, because there could have been a moment in take 1 or take 6 or whatever where you're like, oh, I didn't see that day. That's really great. Right. Or I can use that later on for stuff. So yeah, it really is starting fresh, and yeah, it's making those choices, deciding this is the moment where the emotion is best in this take, even though I may not have seen that the day that we shot it.
Right.
If you don't watch all of your dailies, essentially, you'll never find those.
You'll miss those good.
And
those
yeah,
good
and
nuggets,
so give yourself plenty of time to edit scenes together. Don't try to rush through this. Go through, really watch it, look for those little nuances in the performances, and that'll help you build the scene out. And don't be afraid to just, if you're cutting for somebody and the director tells you this is what he wants, give him what he wants. But if you find something better, give him another option. Show it to him the way that he wants it, or he or she wants it, and then show them, and I'll say, hey, you know what, that's good, look at this, and offer that up. And you never know, a lot of times directors will be like, wow, I never saw the scene from that, that's amazing, yes, let's go with that.
Right.
That's happened to me plenty of times. So
awesome, great.
So are there more questions, or should we just keep going here?
I think we're good for the moment, yeah.
All right, so one other thing I wanted to quickly talk about, just more of like a workflow thing, and then I want to show, to get baw to color, show how to color match something. One thing that I do, granted, we were working with HD footage, which is pretty easy to play back. It's not so taxing on most computer systems anymore. But if you were cutting on 4K, of course, you could always do proxies, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But one thing that you can do, and I learned this actually, and I'm sure maybe some editors out there have heard of this, or they already incorporate this, but for those who don't, I got this from Walter Murch, who's a very famous editor.
Yes,
I didn't get it from him personally.
Oh, I was good.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
I'm not that high.
You guys were having coffee one day, and he kind of gave you a few tips.
Yeah,
that's not how the story goes.
That.
Okay.
By the way, I should make a plug for him, because the guy is a super talented guy, and I have met him. He is very nice. He has a book called In the Blink of an Eye, and it's a book about editing. If you really want to be an editor, it's a great book to pick up. It talks about his methodology in editing. Walter Murch has done legendary films, so if you don't know who he is, go check him out. But one thing that he does, and that I picked up from him, is let's come and look at. So this is edit 7 of my film, and you can see on the top here we've got this. I've got this flattened or rendered out version of the film, and so when I'm playing back the film now to review it, it's playing back that file as opposed to all the other files.
Right.
And what's great about that is if I decide to make an edit, I can just go ahead and cut that part. Like if we wanted to edit, like this is the scene that we just cut, but if I wanted to make a change in it, I'm gonna peel this back, this layer back, and then I'm gonna start making changes down here. And at the end of the day, it's real easy now for me to look back and see what's changed. And especially if you're working with the director can say, okay, what's new, what's changed? You can easily point out, okay, well, here's all the areas that we've worked on. Because let's face it, some days, editing days can get really long, and you can kind of hazy what you were working on in the morning.
Right.
This is a real quick visual way to look at, okay, we worked on this scene, and let's say we cut a scene here in the middle, you just sort of peel it back, and then you change all the footage down here. You can easily spot all the areas that you cut. Plus, again, if you're working with footage, that's a little bit more taxing on your system, it's easier to play back this low-res H.264 file than it is, all the other clips. And so when you're playing stuff back, Premiere will rely on that, and instead of all the clips underneath it. So, and if you do have any LUTs or effects or stuff like that, it can bake those in. And a lot of times what I'll do is set that up overnight. So I'll finish for the day. I'll, as I'm packing up my bags, I have Premiere, encoding that. And then the next morning, I just import it in, lay the video track on top of everything on the new edit, and then start editing again. So it's a great way to work. It's one other option. It may not be for everybody, but I figure if it's good enough for Walter Murch, it's good enough for me. So
now, that's a good question, or a question I have. I'll jump in there. So when you come back the next day, do you just open up the exact same sequence, or do you create a new sequence, archive the previous days? Like, I know there's different.
Yeah, good question. I create a new sequence every day. What I don't do is, I know a lot of editors who create new projects every day. They create a new project file.
Oh, well. Yeah.
I have talked to guys who do that, and that's more of just like if something were to happen to your project file. I sort of rely on, Premiere's been pretty good for me, so I've never had to really worry about that. I have autosave to every 5 minutes, so if the worst were to happen, something, I've always got that, but that's never happened. So, but I do, at the start of every day, create a new sequence, and say, okay, this is gonna be edit, whatever. That is a bit project dependent though, so like with the corporate stuff that I do, that changes once I submit to the client for review. So, I'll work on something for a week, let's say, and then Friday afternoon submit it to the client. That'll be edit 1.
Okay.
And then once the client gives me notes, I then duplicate edit 1 and then change the sequence name to edit 2 and then keep editing. But I always keep edit 1.
Right.
Because it has never failed that you get to edit 5 or 6 and things have drastically changed and the client will call you up and say, hey, remember that thing you did back in edit 1? You had that sequence cut together? Can we put that back in? And you're like, wait, what was that again?
Right.
And now if you've got that timeline still available, you just go cut and paste it and drop it in and you're good to go.
You're good to go, right, yeah.
So yeah. But I do with the short film, yeah, every day I would sit down, I'd create a new sequence and just start fresh.
Right.
And so that was the way I worked on that.
I've seen a few editors' projects and bins, and it never fails that there's always a final edit, final edit,
Oh, yeah.
final edit, which is always because like you think you're done, and then you're like, oh no, there's another revision. Let me.
Yeah, they never label anything final.
Yeah, right.
It's superstition really. But I've gotten away from calling finals and I call it delivery edit.
Oh, there we go.
Does that mean that it doesn't happen? No, still does.
Right.
But it never fails. I've had final, basically, and so, or final V2, V3, V4.
Right.
So I just started labeling delivery edits, and that still happens, but
It's sometimes I like that though because it's a little less psychologically
it's the mind
upsetting when
games.
you have to go back and you're like, that was supposed to be the final.
You said there were no more changes. Listen, while I've been up here in San Francisco, there's a project we finished 3 weeks ago for a client, and I got an email the first day I was here. Yeah, we need to make changes on that video.
Right.
Well, all right. So I'll
Okay.
be back in the office on Friday. Get right on it then,
Right.
but it happens. It doesn't matter. The delivery or final does not necessarily mean that. So, I see a couple questions here. Should we try to?
Yeah.
Let's
Let's see what's.
let's see. I like to duplicate, keep working. Do you have a billing preference as far as hourly or per project? That is a great question, Jim. I would say it depends on what you're doing. If you're cutting narrative stuff like short films, I would say you should definitely have a project rate. If you're leery about the production team, the director might not know what they're doing or have all their eggs or all their stuff, together. I was gonna say all their eggs in one basket, but that's not really appropriate for this. But yeah, if they don't have their stuff together, then you may want to think hourly for that, just because what you don't want to do is agree to work for a certain amount of time, for a certain budget, and then they go over that, and then you're kind of stuck. So that should be something you kind of specify in a contract with the production people. Say, hey, look, I'm going to do this project for X. And that includes this amount of time spent editing. If we go beyond that, then we need to renegotiate and come up with more money or more compensation. You know, if it's a corporate project or something like that, you know, you can do hourly. I still recommend always doing the project rate. I think that's the best, but you can do hourly if you are leery about, you know, how organized the production is. So, how do I make the timeline head follow the ripple edit tool? How do you make the timeline? So, let's see. So the ripple edit tool, if I understand your question correctly, let me go to something like this. So the ripple edit tool, I'm assuming he's just talking about just a ripple edit.
Yeah,
So
it sounds like it to me, but we can ask for clarification. Sorry, I missed the name. Let me see if I can find it.
so yeah, so if you when you've got an edit selected, and please let me know if I'm not understanding.
Yeah,
your question
Jeffrey,
correctly.
if this doesn't get it, just ask the question again, maybe rephrase
Yeah.
it.
So let me see if I can zoom in so you can kind of see what's happening here. So there's my edit. I'm going to hold down the control or the command key, and that's going to turn it into the ripple edit tool. And then I'm going to drag this back, and it's going to, as soon as I let go here, I think because I've got the frame zoomed in, it's a little goofy here. But yeah, that should pull the,
There we go.
that's going to pull the clip up. So
Yeah, it's not, you're not, like the animation isn't very apparent, I think, over, but what's happening is, normally what would happen is in a trim like that, it would leave a gap, it would leave a blank
Right.
spot. But because he's using the ripple edit tool, it actually is going to pull everything down the timeline up so that everything stays in sync. And I'm talking to the chat pod again, so that everything stays in sync, and close that gap to fill the trim. So hopefully that was somebody in the chat, somebody smarter than me in the chat described that as well. But that's basically what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's that workflow. So let's, I wanted to show a color match thing here, so, and how we can use that. So let's go to here, and let's turn this off. And so let's look at this scene right here. Let's come here. Okay, so this shot, you can see, let's make it full screen here. This shot has got a LUT applied to it. That was just on for editing. Let's go to our color workspace here. Well, but actually before I do that, I want to import in something here. Let's see. Let's see where, I think I already have it in here, but let me import it in just in case I don't. Yeah. So let's import it in. So, oops. So I have got this still shot. Let's go full screen. So this is a still shot from Spielberg's film AI. It's a film that had a look that I liked and that I wanted to sort of emulate. And so went and found this still frame, and you can see it's a bit pixelated. It's pretty low res. You know, it's not the best quality, but you know, it's something that I really liked look-wise, and so I wanted to sort of imitate that look. So I'm going to drag this down and put this on my timeline. I'm going to put it right over here. So I've got it right there. I'm going to make it actually. I'm going to choose scale to frame size, and then I'm going to size it up. So it fills the screen. Okay, I want it to fill the screen. So now this is my shot. So I'm gonna go into my color panel here, and I'm gonna turn on my comparison view, and then I'm gonna find that shot. Let's see here. Should be right about there. There it is. Oops. Let's see if I can use the tool here to locate it. Nope, it seems to miss it for some reason. Let's make it longer so I can easily find it here. All right. Okay. So let's
There
come.
it is.
There it was. I seem to just be like scrubbing over it. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to reset the color correction tool here on the clip that I want to color match. So actually, no, I'm going to leave it. I like that. I'm going to leave it there. So let's come down to my color match. I'm going to turn on the face detection because I want to match that look, and I'm going to hit apply match. And you can see right there, that did a pretty good job at getting the look from that image. So if I go to my split screen, you can kind of see the colors are, it's got that warmer tone to it. It works pretty well. So that's, I like that. I like that warmer tone.
Can we go back to that? I actually liked how that worked between their two faces and maybe make this one a little bit
So
larger.
let's do this.
Yeah.
We probably should come, oh no, you can kind of come that way. You can kind of see the top of his face and because the way that frame is. Actually, what I could probably do is, let's go to my effects controls. Let's move that image down a little bit. So we can come up. Actually, probably side by side is the way to go. And if we reverse it, that might be the better way to go. There we go. So this little key over here, so you've got these new modes in the comparison view. So you can do side by side. You can do split screen, which you can easily adjust. You can do the top down, top to bottom, look at it that way. I think this particular view is the best. And then you've got this button over here, which is the swap sides. And that lets you kind of switch them if you need to. So for instance, on this one, since our main character is more on this, he's on the same side of the frame, I'd want to switch it up. So yeah, I mean, I think the skin tones look pretty good there. They're pretty close.
Yeah, no, especially given the quality of the reference frame,
And
right?
that to me was the amazing thing. That reference frame is a really low quality JPEG, pulled off the web. And the fact that it got it as close as it did, I thought that's really cool. So, and you can see now, if we, let's turn off the comparison view. So that's our original ungraded shot. You can see it, oops, let's come over here. That's our ungraded shot. And then, come on, I gotta get my timing down here. And then if we turn the effects back on, oops. Oh, I just reset it. Ha!
Uh-oh.
I hit the wrong button. That happens. But I should be able to get it quick because I used this, and then let's go back and recolor match it. We should be able to do that fairly quickly. Let's go back to my split screen. I'm gonna go back to color match. Let's do it again. There we go. But yeah, so you can see if I turn off the effects,
Right.
it really makes a difference. So let's go out of comparison view. So yeah, so that's it with the color grade using the color match. And that's, why does it keep, drives me nuts here. Okay, that's our ungraded shot. So that's how the color match works. Color match is awesome. I mean, it really, really is. Again, this is such a low quality source to be pulling from, and yet it's nailing it. It's getting it really, really close to what I want. I mean, there's just probably a little bit of tweaking I'd want to do in here, but for the most part, that takes me 90% of the way there. And even if I was going to, have someone else do all the color work, this is being able to do that is giving them sort of like, you're giving the color person, here's what I want, make it more like this. I've given them, most of the work, so they're just going to have to go in and kind of fine tune stuff. So,
Don't. all of our Adobe employees are doing, which I think we thought of, but it actually was good to do it again to walk through. I actually thought Command Z, but I like the idea that you went through it again because it gave people another chance to see it. So thank you, Adobe people. That's
Command Z is so easy.
Yeah.
I mean,
why are we gonna do Command Z? We're up here live. We're doing this.
We're to show people how stuff is done.
Right.
So, okay, so we've got the color match done, and so we would go through and apply that to go through and grade all the clips. One of the last things I kind of wanted to show was once you get this all done and you want to do some audio work. There's a lot of audio stuff you can do inside Premiere. I am not an audio guy. That I will freely admit that's my weakest point. When I was in film school, we had the audio teacher I had in film school. Do you remember that show, The Dukes of Hazzard?
Yes.
Our audio teacher did audio for Dukes of Hazzard, which was like the greatest thing for us to do. We would like ask him so many questions.
Like, how'd you make that explosion sound, or the like capture the woohoo?
Well, we should have asked him questions like that. We were more like, how many generalese did they go through in an episode with jumping over stuff?
Yeah,
that's what we always wanted to know. But anyway, but yeah, I never got into audio as well, and so it's not my thing. But thank God for the audio panel in Premiere that has done a lot of great, that makes my job a lot easier and I can rely on. But for a short film like this, it really should go through something like Audition to do sound design. And have somebody like Mark, who will be on later today, who can really bring the film to life. Sound is, it's more than 50% of the film, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You really need to have somebody really do a good job on sound design. So let's, real quick, I'm going to show you. So let's look at the final timeline here. Oh, this actually is the final timeline. So this is the final timeline. I've kind of condensed it all down, cleaned up a lot of the audio, but there's still holes. It doesn't have a lot of sound effects put in or things like that, or ambience. But if we go to Audition, let's open up Audition. I think it's funny that all the Adobe people were like all
Control Z, Control Z. And now everybody else is jumping. Yeah, you come up here and do this live and remember Command Z.
So once we have Audition open, I'm just going to go to the media browser. I'm going to go to my Premiere Pro project right here, because now in Audition, you can, the workflow before I thought was really pretty good. Inside Premiere, you could just send the project from Premiere over to Audition, and that worked. I did that for a bunch of projects, and it worked really, really well. Now I can just open up the Premiere project in here. We'll let this open up. This might take a bit. That project is rather large, so it could take a minute or two to open up. But it seems to be going fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's doing pretty good. So I think I think you're being reminded, but just so you know, the challenge, I think we're getting close. I think I see 5 minutes left to go. Let us know if you're having a slow upload. We might be able to talk them into giving you a little extra time if you've really started the upload. But yeah, get your challenges in so we can judge them and give somebody a cool prize.
So once it imports the project in, you can see these are all the sequences that I have inside that particular project. So let's find this one. We'll click OK. And it will import in that sequence from all the other sequences that I have.
That's great. Keep them coming. I'm starting to finally see some challenge projects show up here.
And voila, there's our project.
Yourself.
You always say that.
And there's that shot still left in
One
there.
day.
And that's actually a good point. So you can see that you have, it's direct link, correct? Or dynamic link, or how are we? What do we call this now?
Hey, Megan, what do we call this now? We'll get an answer in the chat.
Yeah, I know, we'll get an answer.
Yeah.
So you can see, if I go through, so that's actually a good thing to say. You can update the video inside Premiere. Let's get rid of that shot. Boop. And let's come back over. And it updated the video for me.
Yeah, it's linked somehow.
Yeah, there's a link between the two. And so yeah, that's awesome. I love that feature, being able to make tweaks and have it update automatically like that. So, but you can see here's my entire project.
Dynamic link.
Is it dynamic link?
It's dynamic link. Okay. So this is the problem with being internal. You hear all the debates about stuff, and so sometimes you're like, oh wait, what do we call that now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we can go through, and you can see I've got all my audio tracks here, for all the different mics and everything, and we can go through. And a professional sound designer could go through and start sound designing this thing out.
Right.
That would not be me. So that would be someone like Mark later in today. So Mark knows his stuff, so you should definitely tune in if you're into audio.
Yeah, definitely join us later for all the
and he can show you how
sessions.
he would work his magic with compressors and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, but then once you're all done, you would go send your audio back into Premiere, and let's tab back over to Premiere. And when you're ultimately all done, you get this, which is my final timeline that has the mixed audio with music.
Always.
Let's go to a scene here. So So yeah, there we go. We've got the music, we got everything mixed. I know some people might be asking, I noticed we've got some cuts on that final timeline. This has got all the color grading done to it. I went back and added in some sound effects. Somehow the sound, when I got my mix back from my sound guy, some stuff got dropped out. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but so I went back in and added a sigh in for him.
Right.
But the big thing was, one of the big changes was at the end, there's a line where you can hear, where it's supposed to be at the end of the day and, parents are out calling their kids to come in. But when my sound guy recorded, he only did one voice. It was his wife. Oliver was his cat. And so he had his wife say, Oliver, time to come in. And when I got back, I'm like, it needs like one more. Because in my neighborhood, it was everybody's mom was out, screaming for people.
Right.
And so I felt like we need to have one more name. And so I got my mic and recorded my wife on our front porch shouting our kid's name. And so I went and added that in so you can hear my wife now.
All right.
So it was Joe and Sophia.
Dinner's
my kids.
ready.
Dinner's
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
While he's struggling to get his bike fixed. So, but yeah. So yeah, we got all the color grading done and it looks great. And
Why would they do that?
Okay, I have a random question and then
Okay.
we'll check. The bike scene, because I always wonder about this. Everybody has like a different way of like filming, a moving vehicle or a moving bike.
Right.
What was your method for filming him on the bike?
So to get those shots, I'll play them here and then we can kind of talk about it so people see what we're talking about. This is my cameo in the film, by the way, too. We had somebody that was going to play the dad and they dropped out at the last minute. So, hey, like any good director, you step up.
in.
And
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yep,
Okay.
I had to do it. But I told my DP, I said, I don't want my face to be seen. I just want to be backlit. So you just, whatever. And so he did a good job at just doing it in a static shot. But to get to your question, what we did is we just loaded up we loaded the Steadicam in the back of a minivan. It was our sound guy's minivan.
Right.
And so we shot from the Steadicam of him doing all the riding. We got tons of shots that we didn't end up using. But yeah, it was all from a van. Like we got these shots where he's riding through the kind of the bad part of town. Oh, that's a drone shot. But yeah, this was all hanging out of our sound guy's van.
Right. They're like holding onto a belt like while the camera's out there.
Yeah, we had, actually.
I'm sure it was much safer than that.
Yeah, no, it was totally safe. We had the door closed. We were shooting out the window on that particular one. But then at the end, when he's trying to race home, that was again all shot. I believe that was all shot out of my Grips truck. So yeah, but again, it was shot on a Steadicam, out, in a truck. And my Steadicam op, who was my DP, Mike, did a phenomenal job. I mean, I don't know how he did it, wearing that thing all day, but he did a great job. He never took it off. We shot a good portion of this film on that Steadicam, because we were short on time, and so at one point we talked and said, Spielberg does a lot of oneers. Maybe we should just do a lot of oneers, just get everything in one shot.
Right.
And that, we did that. We did get coverage for a lot of things too, but it did make things go a lot quicker, and it forced us to sort of be creative on the set, because you had to be like, okay, well, we don't have a lot of time to shoot this. We had permits for everything, but still, we needed to move quickly. So it's like, okay, let's shoot this, let's shoot this. You tend to sort of block out all your shots and thinking about, okay, we'll move here, and I can get coverage to cover the movement and things like that. So, but yeah, it was all very safe. Yes, you need to be careful when you're on set shooting that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Great insights.
Let's see. Filming a kid from a random. Thanks, Megan.
I'm sure that you didn't get any looks from that. Yeah.
No, yeah. There was only one point where we actually had we set up like across a street because I wanted to get we had a long focal length shot. It didn't end up in the film. We were across the street and we were filming it, and somebody did say something to us like, hey, because. At that, everybody else was setting up for a different shot in a different location, and so I took my friend Rob, who was one of our camera guys, and said, "Okay, let's just get the shot." And yeah, somebody came up to me and said, "What are you guys doing?"
Right.
Because we were just shooting a kid on a bike with a back.
Right.
And they were like, "Oh, we're making a movie." And they just gave us that look, like, "Really?" And then walked away. And
right.
I thought for sure the cops would show up at some point, but never did. So
they bought it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, just trying to think if there's any other questions we have here. but it doesn't look like it. So
Yeah, no, I think we're.
do we need to like?
We need to actually.
Let's do this.
We can do a little reviewing of. I think we have enough now to do some reviews of your submissions. I'm just gonna do a. Wow, the coffee's really wearing off. All right.
You should have had Gatorade, man.
I should have. I don't know what I was thinking. All right, so let's do. Let's review. I think this is the first one we got in. It's gonna go this way. So let's take a look. Hamid, let's take a look at yours. Nice, some nice physics in there.
Wait, so I'm.
So- sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I
I don't know that
This
we
is
told you what it-
awesome.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what we're. What did we give them, and what's
So
happening?
the challenge is that they got an After Effects template
Okay.
of this basketball and the hoop, and their challenge is to make the basketball go into the hoop
Okay.
using transform properties like scale and motion and
Okay.
position, X and Y.
So wait, so they were just given like a basketball image, and they had to animate this whole.
So they were
Dude,
given
play
this
that
image,
again then.
and so like they were given this image as a template, and they had to animate the whole thing. Yeah.
That's cool.
All right. So
Well done.
well done,
Well
Hamid.
done.
Let's take a look at the next one from Atif. All right. Look at this. Oh, we got titles. We got a counter. Ooh, I don't know if that shot was going to go in.
Yeah.
I don't know about the physics on that last
Yeah.
on number 3 there, but yeah,
The
nice.
Magic base. That was good.
Nice,
I like
nice.
that. You know, you can use the arrow keys. Remember this?
Yeah, that's right. I can use the arrow keys. Thank you for.
I'm here for you, man.
I appreciate that. You come up here live and oh, you are.
Yeah.
All right, Eric.
Oh.
Oh,
I give you points for not going in, being different. Good job.
yeah. Actually,
And I like
I gotta watch that one again.
I like the little dolly move, or kind of like it. Like
It kind of
the
it
zoom.
kind of shifted in perspective
Yeah.
there a little bit. All right,
Arrow.
arrow, right, arrow. Am I gonna go the right way? No, I went the wrong way. Okay,
Oh.
so this way. Eric. All right, Nathan. I'm not sure. Wow,
This looks.
this looks interesting. Okay. Okay. Nice. There's a game there's some game where you. What's the name? Portal. Okay. My son, like, I see these things over the shoulder of my son. I don't actually
You
play
play
them.
them.
Yeah.
You play him.
Yeah, all right. Shh. All right, JP.
Ooh.
Oh!
I like the foot.
Ball is life. I feel like JP must be a soccer player, though.
I respect that. I'm a soccer fan.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Okay.
JP, if you're a soccer fan, what team do you support? If you're not a soccer fan, don't worry about it.
Oh, so that was it. Okay, those
That's
were our entries. Did you see them again, or you got?
No, I think I'm good.
You good?
Well, I didn't catch the name though.
Okay. Let's go back. That was JP
Okay,
Soccer.
I remember that one.
Portal
Okay.
by Nathan. Denial. I'm naming them as I go. Denial by
Yeah.
Eric. I'm pretty sure that was Denial. Let me make sure. Or Denied.
Yeah.
Denied.
Yeah. And then then this one. I
Atif,
remember
the
this one.
counter. And then Hamid was, I think, our first one.
That was the first one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a really good one too.
All right,
Okay,
so
do you have a pick? Well, I picked yesterday, so you should pick today.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, actually, here, show me. Write down who you think.
okay.
Well, I like how we're doing Houston Rockets. That's not
That's a basketball
that's
team.
a basketball team. That's not a soccer team.
It's not a soccer
that
team.
might have
Yeah, I
been-
don't think that was.
Oh, JP, I'm
Oh,
a basketball fan.
Okay.
And the Houston Rockets. All right. Well, hopefully we'll be seeing you soon, JP, from Golden State.
That's my pick.
Okay. I think I agree with you. Let me
Okay.
see if I can.
Isn't it?
Oh yeah, there we go. So our winner is Nathan Elakonich for Portal. I was allowed to say that, right? I didn't jump the gun there. Yeah. So congratulations, Nathan. You have won a subscription to Creative Cloud.
Yeah, we're being
All right,
told yes.
did I get
yes.
a thumbs up? I'm like, which way do I? There we go. There's the thumbs up. Okay. You can tell we rehearsed this a lot.
Yeah, very well rehearsed here. So
The problem is, I think you told me that as I was drinking my coffee, so it didn't really penetrate completely. All right, so actually, but everybody, great job.
yeah, great work. All of those animations were
All those
really-
animations were cool. That one shot with the work on your bank shot there, because that was off. But other than that,
the one that curved?
the one that curves,
Yeah.
yeah. But awesome job, everyone. And I think that's it for our challenge bit.
Yeah. So I think we still have a little bit of time left, don't we?
Yeah, we actually have it looks like about 10 minutes,
10 minutes?
10 to 15 minutes. Okay.
Okay. So I'm trying to think about what else we can kind of cover. I've covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. One thing.
So I was gonna say, do you want to? So we talked a little bit about like the background of you doing the movie, but like, do you want to talk about like the difference for you and what it means to you to do like a creative job like this as opposed to like your corporate gig and like
So
how you balance that even?
Yeah. That's a good question. So, it means I think if you work at a production company and you do work, I mean, listen, if you work in this business, I think in my opinion, we're all pretty lucky. The fact that we get to do what we do. It's hard work. It's very difficult work. I remember going in to do a shoot one day, and it was for a corporate client. And we were walking past, and they have a huge building, and there were some guys out there painting the building. And one of the camera guys, as we walked in, said, "You know what? As rough as our day will be today, or could be today, it's nowhere near as rough as those guys painting the building. We have
Right.
to stand out here in the heat, smelling paint fumes, and listen, God bless those guys that paint the building, because I couldn't do that. And so their job is hard. Our job on our worst day is still an amazing, fun job.
Right.
But you do, if you're creative, especially when you're dealing with companies that want you to do what they want you to do to get their message across, and so it's like you don't have all that creative freedom. There was a project I did for a corporate client that we struggled with, and the producer that I was working with in-house, he and I were on the same page, and we were really trying to do something different, and we struggled, and the people above him wanted it to be done a certain way. They said, no, it has to be this way. And we just like, no, that's wrong. It's wrong for the piece. It's wrong for everything. But, there was a producer that I used to work for who said, beauty is in the eye of the checkbook holder. And it's the truest thing. It's like, you know what? At the end of the day, they're paying me to give what their message is,
Right.
and not mine. And so, I think if you're creative, you need to be doing something for you. You need to have that outlet. If you are editing commercial spots, if you're editing whatever it is that you edit for your day job that you make your money with, go out and find. I know they're like the 48-hour film festival is a big thing that a lot of people work on. Go get involved. If you're an editor, go get involved in one of those groups and work on that. Find some way to express your creativity on your own. That's something that look. You may not have the ability to make a short film. I think you should try. I'm just going to be real honest. I think if you have a story that you want to tell, please go tell it. We need to hear original new stories. I don't care what your story is. I want to hear it.
Right.
And so, so you should go make that. But yeah, if you're working in a 9-to-5, cutting stuff that's, I'm not gonna say it's soulless, but it is sort
It's
of
not
like,
your soul,
it's not.
though.
Yeah,
It's not
it's not what you want to tell the world.
Right.
And so you need to get out there and get that outlet. And so go out there and find somebody to work with and find a way to express yourself. Listen, I'm on Twitter at Eric Addison. If you make stuff, I want to see it. So please, send it to me and I'll watch it for sure. I've got 1-year-old twins, so bear with me. I may not get it right away, but I definitely like to see it. I love watching people make stuff, especially stuff that's not what my normal cup of tea is. I mean, I like seeing people kind of push the boundaries of storytelling and cinema and things like that. So, yeah, get out there and make stuff for sure. There we go.
There we go.
So.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for sharing that. That's
Yeah.
that's awesome, I think. And so I think we have a couple of questions. I know, Megan, I think yours disappeared, but you were asking
About adjustment layers?
adjustment layers, yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. So I don't know what Megan was referring to, because I don't have any adjustment layers on anything, at least not in this project. But I will say I don't use adjustment layers all that often. I know some guys who do, when they're editing. In After Effects, I know you would use it quite a bit. There's a number of things that you could use adjustment layers for, but in Premiere, I very rarely use them. So yeah, but that's just me.
Yeah,
So.
And then
Let's see. Why don't you color code your clips? Oh, that's a good question. Thanks, Joseph. Yeah. You know what? That's a really good question, and that is something that is sort of on my list to do. There's a couple editors out there who I know via social media. Editor May is one of them. Who actually, that's how I know her, because that's what her Twitter handle is. I've never actually met her in person, but she posts pictures of her timeline, and she has like all of the clips like totally color coded out, and it's like this whole rainbow of colors on her timeline. And I mean, visually it looks awesome to look at, but yeah, it is something that I want to start doing moving forward, because I know that's a feature that's been in Premiere for a while, and I just never have gotten, again, old habits, the way of doing things. But that is something that I want to start doing, because it can be incredibly helpful to visually just see what's what and what's, what the clips are based on that. So thanks for that question. Yes, I should be doing that more often, and I would recommend that.
I think there's a conversation going on about sound effects, which we probably don't need to.
Never have enough sound effects.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, do you have a thought on sound effects?
So I have actually a pretty sizable sound effects library that I've accumulated over the years, and I keep all of that on my drive in a folder. I have I have a folder on one of my drives. It's called stock footage and sounds. And any stock footage that I buy, any sound effects that I accumulate, it all goes in there, and it lives in that spot so that I can easily find it.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know how it's, there's a great, I don't know if I haven't used it in a while, so I don't know if it's still out there or not. But there was a website that I used to use called findsounds.com.
Oh, okay.
And it was it was not the most pretty website that you ever saw. But if you needed a doorbell ring, findsounds.com, doorbell, and they would just have a list of doorbell sounds. Some of them were not the best quality,
right?
But every once in a while, boom, it's like, I need that doorbell sound,
right?
And I probably should have asked like royalty issues and things like that about it, but I assumed it was just sort of like people posting their own sound effects. And so yeah, it worked great. Again, I haven't used it in a while, but it's a great tool. David is asking when we can see your film. It's not public right now because we're doing festivals, and so we have to kind of keep it private right now. But David, if you want to see the film, I will be happy to send you a link. So yes, let me know.
You know David then.
So we've met before, yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, awesome.
Let's see.
Do you ever worry about reusing stock footage because people might recognize it?
Oh, good question. I would not reuse stock footage with the same client. Let's put it that way. So if it's two completely different companies in different projects and it's been a while since I've used that clip, then yeah, I wouldn't have any problem in reusing stock footage. But I wouldn't go to that well too many times. You don't want your reel, or you don't want people to look at your projects and be like, hey, that shot looks familiar. I've seen it in 5 of your videos.
Right.
So, I mean, it's the same with music.
No, yeah, music is what I struggle with, is finding a good music track and having it fit, and then there's a lot of sites now that help you with this, and Adobe one of them, but the ability to find and license, once you find the right thing, then licensing it, and there's there's a lot of things that you can, a lot of places where you can pull music from. I actually have 2 companies that I do business with, that I have agreements with. To like a blanket license where I can go. And what I do with them a lot of times is I will send them a cut of the film, or I'll send them tracks that I think would work best for the project that I'm working on.
and then say, hey, can you go through your library and build a playlist for me?
Oh.
And then they do that, and then they send it to me. Because, yeah, I mean, just hours.
Yeah.
Just like listening to this track. Nope. 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 You know, and eventually you find that right track. But yeah, you can just spend hours doing that. So
Is that how you found the track for your movie?
No. So
How did you find that?
So that I actually hired a composer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I got very lucky, and I kind of put out there that I was looking for music. I originally started working with one composer, and it didn't work out. It wasn't that he was bad. He actually wrote really good music, but it didn't fit the tone of the film. And so I was getting pretty desperate, excuse me, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And a guy via Facebook, I put on Facebook on a San Diego filmmakers page,
Right.
said I'm desperate for a composer. Here's the influences that I'm looking for. And this, Frank, his name is Frank Rawls, he wrote me and said, hey, let's talk. And we met for lunch. I kind of told him, he and I are like, music-wise, like right on the same page.
Right.
And so... And
So what a lucky find, right?
yeah, oh yeah. And so I showed him the film, and he did a first kind of rough outline, or not rough outline, but like some temp tracks, to put in. And I'm like, dude, yeah, you go. You got the job. This
Right.
is it. And yeah, I mean, he just nailed it. So he did such a good job. I mean, that's key to any project.
Well,
You
I
gotta
saw a
find good
couple of
music.
comments that people in the chat were like really appreciating the music because they were like, oh, that music really went with the feel of your film. So
Yeah. I was so happy to find him. Find a good composer for your films, because it makes all the difference in the world. So, do we got all the questions?
Let's see here. Dun, 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 dun.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So,
Yeah.
it still works. Reverb Mike is saying it still works. Fine sounds. Good. Every once in a while, man, I'm telling you, that
Just
site
a
is
quick, cheap sound.
you just need that doorbell. I mean, listen, every editor has at some point needed some weird random sound that you would just totally take for granted, like the ocean or whatever,
Right.
just whatever, And so it's like having a site like that where you can just boom. So, Nathan, thanks for the t-shirt site. Nathan, that's for you, man. I hope you find what you're looking for.
So I just realized that we seriously hooked Nathan up today.
We did.
I didn't actually. This is the thing about doing something live. Like I'm actually not tracking a whole lot right now. So when your name came up again, I didn't even occur to me. And then I saw in the chat somebody was like, "Man, you're lucky." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's right. We totally hooked him up twice." So Nathan,
we did. Nathan won, and he got the t-shirt.
He won the
info.
random. So by the way, this is not fixed.
I didn't even.
That was a random pick.
Yeah, I didn't even
nothing
think
to do
about
with the
that. I
first
forgot
one.
about that. Yeah, no, Super 7, man, when I get back into town, I'm going to say, hey, if you got a bunch of orders, you owe me a free shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
Because, those guys are awesome. They have some really good stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know how much time we have left. No Tron shirt left, though. Aw, man, that sucks. Well, sorry, man.
Yeah.
I got the last one, apparently, so.
All right. Yeah, so I think we're at, are we at?
We got a minute?
We have a minute. We have
a minute, so
we
we
have
gotta
to
stretch
fill a
from-
minute here. Let's, bad
jokes?
I never tell jokes, not live.
Yeah. Are you guys back tomorrow? Yes, we are back tomorrow.
That's a good point.
So so tomorrow, here's what tomorrow's agenda is. So tomorrow we're going to show, I did a kind of a mini documentary for a corporate client telling the story. It's a very sad, emotional story. But the client wanted to do it very documentary style, which is a little bit different. And so we'll talk about the workflow on that. We shot everything 4K, so I'm going to talk about using proxies, and just sort of from how we kind of worked from getting the interviews and getting that ready to send out for transcripts and just kind of the whole workflow involved with that project.
Awesome. Yeah, that's going to be so. Join us again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Same place. I almost dated myself by saying same bad channel. Because we'll be here and Eric will be giving some more amazing tips. And stay tuned for our next.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to see the video that we're going to be talking about tomorrow, if you want to kind of watch it ahead of time, you can go to my website, 100acrefilms.com, and it's there. It's called Sophia's Story. Or if you go to our Vimeo, 100 Acre Films Vimeo channel, it's Sophia's Story. You can watch it there, and that way you can kind of be familiar with it tomorrow when we talk about it.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, I think I think we're at
think we're
time.
good.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Please continue to watch the sessions coming up if you can. There's some great stuff coming up, and we'll see you tomorrow.